Okay, good morning. How's everyone doing? Good. I'm so grateful to be here all the way from sunny Florida. And I know when I was introducing some people, when you heard the state Florida, some of you were like, oh, he's from Florida. Some of you were like, oh, he's from Florida. Either way, you're right. So I'm so grateful to be here in New Orleans, such a beautiful city. I got here a couple nights ago. And so I decided when I got here, it was a little bit late and I was hungry, so I went with a group of people, and I was really craving a burger. I was like, I don't really want a nice burger. So we went to a couple other people, we went to a restaurant, and I sat down and looked over their menu, great choices, but I knew what I wanted. I wanted a burger. And so I sat down and I said, sir, let me have your 3rd-pound Angus burger, please, with seasoned Cajun fries, thank you, and a Coke to drink. And he was like, yes, sir. Then he points to my colleague. My colleague says, well, let me get the same thing that he has, except for the burger being on the bun. Can you put it on top of a salad? And then on the side of that, can you put a little fruit on the side as well? And he's like, yes, ma'am, I can do that too. Then my other colleague, when we did his order, he said, can I have the same thing that he had, a burger, but instead of a bun, can I get a gluten-free bun? And on the side, can I get mixed vegetables? It was a life-changing moment, because a light went off and said, you know what? This is what customization looks like. See, customization empowers the consumer. That's what differentiates it from choice. See, when you discuss choice, the menu itself is choice. They have a litany of options. You can get chicken, you can get fish, you can get burgers, you can get steak, you can get all of these things. But customization empowers the consumer to select an option that meets their individual needs. And that's where we are in this next phase of public education. We're moving from just the education choice, school choice that we've been hearing for the last 20 plus years to now we're in the era of customization. And so in Florida, customization has taken the forefront. Florida has been known for the last 4 years by the Heritage Foundation as the #1 leader in education choice. For the last 4 years, we have led the country in educational choice option. Over 51%, let me say that again, 51% of students in the state of Florida exercise some form of education choice. So what does that look like? Charter schools, district public schools, private schools, home schools, virtual schools, those are all choice options. And Florida is leading those. But now Florida is entering a new phase when we talk about customization and how do we meet the individual needs of those families. And that's where we are right now. We offer a litany of services in our state that empower families to utilize the funding that they're being provided to shop a la carte for services that meet their child's individual needs. And some of you are like, well, how did that work? Well, like the young man said yesterday, he was on stage, there is a political support that has to go behind that. In 2023, this work was supercharged by House Bill 1. House Bill 1 established the Personalized Education Program, or PEP program, which took the traditional homeschool model and added a funding mechanism to it and opened up a new mechanism for families to purchase services called a provider network. So within that provider network, we have providers that are offering part-time tutoring, full-time tutoring, therapy services, virtual instruction. And all of these services are available for families to purchase. So if you look at the unbundled services available in the state of Florida, if you look at our private school, we have about 2.3 billion students that are in private school. Those students have either the Family Tax Credit Scholarship, they have the Family Empowerment Scholarship for Education Options, or they have the Family Empowerment Scholarship for Unique Abilities, but they are a full-time enrolled student. We also have the Unique Ability Scholarship. So that's a scholarship for students that who have disabilities. So those students, in that top part, those students have a qualifying disability, and there's about $604 million. Now, the next two is what I want to bring your attention to, is why I'm here to talk about the funding mechanism of what's available in the state of Florida. So where it says Unique Abilities Homeschool, so last year there were about 59,000 Unique Abilities students who were not enrolled full-time in a private school. Those students are non-traditional, what we consider homeschool kids, because they also receive on average, $10,000 to purchase services. They decided that they weren't going to purchase those services at a private school, so those students are eligible to use that $10,000 to purchase courses in our Education Market Assistant, or EMMA. You'll hear me refer to that as EMMA. So that equates to about $592 million available for those students. Also, if you look at the new scholarship that was established 2 years ago, PEP, some of you refer to homeschool. Homeschool is homeschool, but PEP homeschool is a little different slightly because those students on average receive an ESA of, on average, $8,000 per child. So that equates to about $480 million worth of ESA money. So when you combine just those two alone, in the state of Florida, there's over $1 billion of ESA funding available for purchase services. So why is that important? Why am I here? So, well, Keith, you're saying a lot. I've heard about ESAs. I've heard about homeschool. I may have a little bit heard about PEP. So how does this work? It's because over the past year, we have reimagined what those purchases look like. Families are no longer just purchasing therapy services, part-time tutoring, full-time tutoring. They're no longer just purchasing choice navigator services. Now in the state of Florida, families can purchase a la carte unbundled services from their district public school. Some of you are looking, well, how did that work, Keith? How did you get that to happen? Well, you have to understand there are three primary factors when you're discussing this. The first one, we have shifted from the system, an institution being the first educator of students, to now families are the first educator of students. First shift. The second shift, we have shifted from funding being sent directly to an institution to educate students to funding being sent to the family, who can then select the most appropriate institution or environment to educate their child. That's the second shift. The third shift is we have shifted from mandatory attendance at a public school institution to parents now shopping in a marketplace to find the most appropriate educational environment for their student. So how do you convince superintendents who are grappling with the reality that homeschool is increasing in the state of Florida? More kids are choosing homeschool options. More kids are choosing charter schools. More kids are choosing private schools. How do you go to a public school superintendent and look that superintendent in the face and say, hey, would you like to partner with us so that some of our students can buy some of your services? Well, I'll tell you, it's quite difficult. You have to meet them where they are. You have to understand the importance of the public school within the grander scheme of public education. A lot of people confuse the two. They mix the two. You have public school and public education. They use those terms interchangeably. Public education is funded for the greater good. A charter school is a form of public education. A virtual school can be a part of public education. A private school that's funded through the state's budget can be a form of public education. But public school is an essential part of public education. So you want the superintendents, when you're meeting with them, to never lose sight of their importance. The second thing is I let them know that we are agnostic to what a child decides as far as what type of educational environment they want to learn in. But it's essential that that family has those options. We have to empower families to select the most appropriate form of education for their child. The third thing that you have to let them understand is that you all are already doing remarkable work. It's not that families don't want to attend your school. They just don't want to be there full time. And that's the difference. We have to shift away from this compulsory attendance where you're spending 7, 8 hours in one building, learning the same things over and over again, attending lunch at the same time of day, lining up, going to class, sitting in straight rows, to now a family can sit behind their computer desk, log into an Emma portal, see how much they have in their financial account, the education savings account, and say, hey, in the morning, you're going to take 2 virtual classes here. But you're interested in robotics. I don't teach robotics. The magnet school up the street has a remarkable robotics program with one of the top robotics teachers in the state of Florida. Why don't you attend class there? They can contact the school district, and they can say, my child has an eligible education savings account. How much would it cost to enroll in one of your courses? Well, the parent already has an idea because they've actually seen this being advertised. And then the school says, yes, we have room for you in our school. We've gone from looking at a catalog of school options that are available, your magnet schools, your charter schools in the neighborhood, your available private schools, to now families in Florida are shopping for public education options similar to what you all do every day when you're on Amazon. What works best for me? Well, maybe this product here works with a little bit of this. That's what families are seeing now. They go on there and they see these school districts that have done the unconventional, unthought about method of offering unbundled a la carte services, and they're saying, we still want to attend services at your school. We just don't want to do it full time. And that's the next phase of public education. If you look no further than the state of Florida, where the PEP program has grown every single year. PEP, remember, that's our home education program. The first year, statutorily, 20,000 students. We funded 18,000 the first year. That was a 23-24 school year. 24-25 school year. The cap, this is statutory cap, was at 60,000. We had 60,000 families on the PEP scholarship by November of last year. That shows a demand. The cap for this year went up another 40,000. We had over 80,000 applications before last year ended. What is that telling us? That families want more control of their learning environment. That's what it's telling us. So I went over how we have these conversations with superintendents, and then you have to set up a platform. You have to say, okay, what courses are you going to offer? How much are you going to offer them for? Some of y'all are like, wait a minute. Districts get to select how much they want to charge? Yes, the answer to that is yes. We believe in flexibility for the supplier as well as the consumer. So we have some school districts that are offering flat rates. Some will offer a couple $100. Some will offer a couple $1,000 for one course. We have some districts who have calculated how much it would cost to educate a child in their school building. If that child was a full-time student, they found out how much that is in their allocation. They divide that by 6. That's how much one course costs. And that's what school districts are doing. When they sit down with me, we go over how you're going to market to PEP families. We go over how you're going to come up with a price point for PEP families. We come up with any kind of regulatory or compliance things that may come up with PEP families. The school districts create their own contract with the families, and when the families contact them, they enroll them. So I know you all are wondering, so Keith, what's the results? You put all this work in, you've talked to the school districts, you let them know all this money, over $1 billion is available for families to spend money on. That's the result. There are 67 school districts in Florida. Every county is a school district. 67 school districts in the state of Florida. 37 of them, over 55%, in the last year have gone on to our education market assistant, or Emma, contacted me and said, Keith, we want to sit down and we want to figure out how to offer unbundled services to these students because we realize the next phase of education is here. What do those services look like? We have some that are offering their virtual school program. We have several school districts, almost all of them have their own district virtual school program. So we said, so why don't you just offer that? We have school districts that are offering all of their classes to these families. They're offering their AP courses. They're offering their dual enrollment courses. They're offering their robotics, their electives. They're offering their athletics to these students. I'm not, it's a young man earlier was talking about science and physics. I'm a strong math person, but I'm definitely not strong in science. So if I had a child that was strong in physics and they needed a physics instruction, guess who's not going to be able to help them in physics? This guy. So you send them to the local public school that's offering these services. So 27 of those 37 school districts are already approved. So if you wanted to know, from as you see down bottom here, some of you right here, down bottom here, that's Miami-Dade County. That's the largest school district in the state of Florida, third largest in the country. All the way up here, Putnam County, that's one of the smallest school districts in the state of Florida. It's a small rural district. So it doesn't matter if you're a large, expansive, urban district like Miami-Dade County, Hillsborough County, which is the seventh largest district in the country. It doesn't matter. Or you're a small rural county like Lafayette, Putnam, Glades, Hendry County, very small county, only a few schools. The demand is still the same. Families, regardless if they're in a rural community, a metropolitan community, or an urban community, they want options, they want flexibility, and now they have the funding to be able to exercise those options. So this is a map of what Florida looks like now. The ones that are in process, there's another 10 that's in process. So what that means is that they have already submitted an application into our Education Market Assistant, or Emma portal. They have already linked their bank account, which means they're going to get paid from the student, directly from the student's scholarship account. They're just waiting to find out which service offerings they're going to be able to offer for the school year. So these districts are no longer only being paid directly from the state. They are now being paid directly from education savings accounts in the state of Florida. And that's where we are right now. So there's one thing that I want to leave, and then I'm going to open up to questions. We have to remember this. Demand plus necessity times innovation equals customization. And that's where we are in this next phase of education. I thank you so much for having me, and now we'll open it up to questions.